Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the Union Pacific Railroad Geneva Subdivision in N-Scale. My name is Darrell Cruz, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for episode 35 of season 2020. This is part 2 of a multiple-part series on the dismantling and eventually reassembling of the Union Pacific Railroad Geneva Subdivision. We are moving back to Illinois from Georgia, and before we put our house up for sale, the train has to come down. So that's kind of what I've been working on right now. What you're looking at right now is, of course, the Geneva subdivision in operation before everything's taken down. This is a operations video that I did a while back on operations in Global 3 on intermodal trains. But now we are in the process of taking everything apart. I really enjoy building model railroads, and especially in N-Scale, and I've built a lot of them over the years, and I have just really enjoyed them. It's a lot of fun, very rewarding. Dismantling railroads, not so much. Not much fun at all, but the thing that keeps me going is the knowledge that I will at some point be reassembling it in a new configuration, and hopefully bigger and better than ever. In the previous video, we showed removing all the cars and locomotives and vehicles and details and so forth from the layout. In this video, we're going to see the removal of buildings and trees and bridges. First of all, I kind of wanted to show you how I pack up the buildings. I used 70 sheets of wrapping paper. That's not Christmas wrapping paper, but the wrapping it for packing. And I usually try to combine structures as much as possible. As you see, I put one of the smaller warehouses inside the larger warehouse, and then wrap it up with the packing paper and place it in the box. As I said, I had used over 100 sheets of packing paper, and it was pretty much one sheet per structure, although there were a lot of times when I put two of the structures together, especially some of the smaller buildings. Any details that go along with the building that are loose, I put them inside and wrap them together so that they stay together. So I did this for over 100 different structures. Didn't realize I had so many. This is the second time I've had to pack everything up. I did 7 years ago. We moved from Illinois to Georgia, and I took the layout apart and then reassembled it here in Georgia. But I'm finding out that dismantling the layout this time is taking a lot longer. And I think it's because over this last 7 years, I've just accumulated a lot more. You saw there's a couple buildings there. The warehouses are too big for boxes, at least any that I can find right now. So I haven't quite figured out what to do with those yet. But this is what it looks like without any structures. This is what I'm doing with the signals. I'll have more on that a little bit later, but as you can see, the bridges are gone, structures are gone. Here's Elmhurst with all the buildings gone. It looks pretty empty. The warehouses and all the structures removed from Wheaton. This is a section of the layout that I'm not going to try to move. It's just the way it's configured. I can't see how it's going to fit anywhere. Didn't remove that bridge yet. Here's all the buildings removed from Rochelle. Definitely is looking barer and barer as we go along the process. They didn't remove the road there yet, but we'll have to take that down, the overpass. So all the buildings are gone from Global 3. I am going to try and keep the K-rails, the concrete barriers in place. We'll see how they do. But all the structures in Franklin Grove are gone. And just for nostalgia, let's look and see how it all looked when everything was still in place. Definitely looks a lot better, doesn't it? So this is a intermodal train, some double stacks going through Rochelle, crossing 9th Street right there, going past the power plant and the railroad park. Lots of structures and buildings and vehicles. It shouldn't take too long to put all those details back. It'll be real easy putting the buildings back. The trees are going to take a little longer. But we'll see how that goes. When I removed the trees, by the way, I basically just put them in a box. I have this big box. I didn't get a picture of it, but I just, yanked them all out and just threw them all into this big box. And I'm not going to guarantee that the same tree is going to go back in the same location. So it may look a little different. All right, now the main bridge going across the Mississippi River was a little special challenge. Want to make sure it stays intact. So first thing it did was remove the tracks from the bridge, and then basically just lifted the bridge off the piers. Everything on these three bridges and the tracks, nothing is glued down. Everything is just sitting there in place with gravity. I have this long, shallow Tupperware storage container that I used. I filled it all with styrofoam pellets, put the bridges in there, and then put a layer of bubble wrap on top. Put the lid on, and then we're good to go. As I said, the next step after removing the buildings was all the trees. So here you get a look at the layout. Without any trees, here's another container covering up the signals. Basically what I do is I'll screw those containers into the layout. I did that when we moved from Rochelle to Georgia, and it held up pretty well. Here's the track plan that I'm dismantling. So all the trees that covered up the hole between River Forest and Maywood, all those trees are gone. Maywood doesn't look too different. I really didn't get very far on Maywood. There's the packing paper. Not a whole lot of trees in proviso here, but there was a lot of foliage that needed to be removed. I did get a Walmart plastic bag and picked up as much of the foliage as possible and put it in the bag. Pretty much filled up a whole bag. So I'll reuse that. So not a lot of trees in proviso, but there was a lot of foliage. Here's some trees removed again around the hole between the two rooms. All the trees from Elmhurst are removed. And there's a bunch of foliage along this section. There weren't very many trees, but some foliage removed. Just a few trees from Wheaton. Did get the bridge taken down, and all the trees removed around the the Rock River. And then here's Rochelle with no buildings, no trains, no vehicles, no trees. Looks like a tornado went through and basically flattened everything. Actually sucked it all up. Not even any debris. So when I reassemble everything in the new house, I'll, of course, put the sections back together, connect the track between the sections, and then once I do that, then the basement's going to be bigger, so I'll have to build some new bench work and new right-of-way. So the main goal when I get everything back together is getting trains running again. Also have to do some finishing of the basement. I'm pretty sure the house we're going to be buying will have an unfinished basement. But anyway, once I get the trains running, then I'll start putting all the buildings and trees and all that stuff back together. Alright, so that's pretty much how it looks. Looks pretty bare without any trees or anything really. Just the basic terrain and the track. So that's where things stand right now. We'll end with again what it looked like before I started all this dismantling. This is a cab ride video going through the western part of Global 3 and heading into Franklin Grove. Since I have everything removed from the top of the layout, the next step is going to be actually removing some track between the sections and then disconnecting the sections and basically cutting the layout into movable pieces. I think the longest piece is going to be 16 feet, which may be a challenge to get into the new basement since it probably won't have a walkout, but shouldn't be too difficult. So I hope you're enjoying watching the dismantling of the layout. It's kind of depressing, I know, but just keep in mind that it will be put back together in an even bigger and better configuration. So stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.